Ladies and gentlemen, wealth rarely arrives with the noise of trumpets or the ceremony of a royal parade. It doesn't announce itself with flashing lights or a polite letter in your mailbox that says, "Congratulations, your time has come." Instead, it's far more subtle, almost shy in the way it approaches. It whispers. It hides in plain sight. It comes disguised as small changes in your thinking, little shifts in your daily habits, and subtle differences in the way you spend your hours. Wealth is not a prize that falls into your lap one lucky afternoon. It's the result of becoming the type of person who naturally attracts it. And that process is invisible to most people. There are moments, critical moments, when you are closer to financial breakthrough than you've ever been, but because the signs aren't dramatic, most people miss them. They think nothing is happening when in truth, everything is already in motion. Or sign number 1, you stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility. This may sound small, but it is the first earthquake that shakes the foundation of a limited life. Most people stay broke not because they lack intelligence or work ethic, but because they cling to a story filled with villains outside themselves, the government, the economy, their parents, their boss, their childhood, the unfair system. But the moment you are truly on the edge of wealth, you throw away that script. You stop rehearsing excuses and start rewriting your future. You look in the mirror and say, if it's going to change, it's up to me. That's the birth of ownership, and ownership is magnetic to opportunity. Opportunities, like guests at a party, don't knock on the doors of complainers. They look for the houses where responsibility lives. This shift changes everything. It moves you from victimhood to the driver's seat of your destiny. Sign number 2, you start valuing time more than money. This is one of the most profound mindset shifts a future wealthy person can experience. Poor people are trained to trade hours for dollars, to think of life as a transaction, work 8 hours, get paid for 8 hours. But the wealthy understand that time is the ultimate currency, and it is far more valuable than any amount of money. Money can be regained, time cannot. When you're close to wealth, you begin protecting your hours with fierce intentionality. You stop wasting 2 hours arguing over a $10 mistake. You start asking yourself, is this the highest return on my time? You begin investing in systems, in leverage, in people who can multiply your efforts. The wealthy don't chase pennies. They build machines that print dollars. When you reach the point where you treat your time as sacred, wealth begins to see you as one of its own. Sign number 3, you're willing to be misunderstood for a while. This is not an easy place to live. When you're changing your habits, building a business, or pursuing a vision that others cannot yet see, the people around you will raise their eyebrows. They'll call you obsessed, unrealistic, stubborn, or even foolish. They will question why you work late, why you turn down weekend plans, why you seem different now. But you'll know you're close to something big when their opinions matter less than your mission. Is the test of your inner compass. Can you stay committed when there's no applause, no validation, no evidence for others to see? Can you keep walking when the crowd has stopped clapping? Many can't, which is why few succeed. But those who endure this season of misunderstanding emerge into a life that the doubters never imagined possible. Sign number 4, you start multiplying, not just adding. The average person asks, how can I make $100? And stops there. The person on the brink of wealth asks, how can I turn $100 into $1,000? This is the shift from survival thinking to abundance thinking, from linear results to exponential results. You begin to notice opportunities for leverage, ways to scale your income, your business, even your skills. You realize that one product can be sold to 1,000 customers, one idea can generate 100 streams of revenue, one skill can be taught to a global audience. Multiplication is about creating value that continues to grow without demanding more and more of your direct labor. When you make this shift, you stop playing the small game of chasing a single sale and start playing the big game of building assets. That's when the seeds of wealth take root and start growing in every direction. Sign number 5. You've stopped chasing every shiny thing. Early on, it's normal to dabble in everything. You try crypto one week, real estate the next, drop shipping after that. You tell yourself you're diversifying, but in truth, you're scattering your energy so thin that nothing has a chance to grow. Then it happens, the moment of maturity. You choose one thing and decide to master it. You stop running after every so-called next big thing and instead build depth in a single area. You understand that mastery compounds while distraction destroys. Just like a farmer doesn't plant a seed one week and then dig it up the next. To see if it's growing, you commit to nurturing what you've planted. This kind of focus creates momentum, and momentum is the hidden engine behind wealth. Number 6, you start surrounding yourself with people who stretch you. Your circle begins to change almost without you realizing it. Conversations shift from gossip and complaints to strategies and opportunities. You find yourself spending less time with people who are content with just getting by and more time with people who are building, innovating, and creating. You begin to feel slightly out of place in your old group, not because you think you're better, but because your goals and their goals no longer match. This discomfort is a sign of growth. Iron sharpens iron. And when you're around people who are playing a bigger game, it forces you to raise your own standards. The wealthy understand that environment is everything. Your results are the average of the people you spend the most time with. When your crowd changes, your future changes. Sign number 7. You're comfortable saying no more often than yes. This might feel unnatural at first, especially if you were raised to believe that being agreeable is the way to win favor. As you edge closer to wealth, you start to understand that your greatest resource, your time and energy, must be fiercely guarded. Every yes you give is a commitment that takes from your limited supply of attention. You stop agreeing to every coffee meeting, every side project, every tempting quick money scheme that lands in your inbox. You understand that just because something is a good opportunity doesn't mean it's the right opportunity for you right now. Wealthy people protect their focus like a fortress, and no is their gatekeeper. It's not rudeness, it's strategy. Saying no is how you ensure that your yes is always backed by full commitment. They're not given out of guilt or fear of missing out. Sign number 8, you're thinking long term, even when the short term hurts. This is where many people lose their footing. They face discomfort, a temporary dip in results or a setback, and they immediately cash out or quit. But when you're close to wealth, you begin to see those short-term pains as investments. You willingly trade the pleasure of now for the promise of later. You stop needing instant validation for every decision and start trusting the compounding effect of time. You understand that delayed gratification is not a punishment. It's the smartest form of self-control. This mindset allows you to endure lean seasons, keep reinvesting when others would spend, and maintain discipline when the rewards are still invisible. The wealthy are not just patient, they're strategic. They know that playing the long game multiplies the payoff in ways that impulsive decisions never can. Sign number 9, you've made peace with risk. This doesn't mean you've turned into a gambler or thrill seeker. It means you've come to accept that no significant gain comes without uncertainty. You've stopped waiting for a perfect guarantee before taking action. Because you now understand that security itself is an illusion. Poor people try to wait until every question is answered before they move forward, but by then, the opportunity is gone. Those on the edge of wealth have learned to act even when the outcome is not 100% certain. They take calculated risks, knowing that failure is a possibility, but so is life-changing success. And they also know that inaction is often the biggest risk of all. The truth is, wealth rewards the bold, not the hesitant. Once you accept that discomfort is part of the deal, you stop letting fear be your decision maker. Now let me tell you why so many lose it right here. When you're this close to wealth, life doesn't roll out a red carpet. It throws tests in your path. It will send you slow months when money feels scarce, unexpected expenses when you least need them, and doubts whispered by people you love and trust. Most will interpret these as signs to quit, as confirmation that their dream isn't working. But in reality, these are final exams before graduation. Life wants to know if you can hold steady when things get shaky, if you can keep building when the results are delayed. Those who fail these tests drift back to where they started. Those who pass, they cross into the life they were chasing. The closer you are to the finish line, the harder the wind blows, because it's the last push before you break through. Wealth, my friends, is not just about the size of your bank account. It's about the size of the person you become in the process. If you ignore these signs, you may miss the moment entirely, and the opportunity will quietly pass you by. But if you recognize them, you'll see that wealth is not some distant, unreachable mountain. It's right around the corner. The irony is that most people only notice wealth once it arrives in numbers they can count. But the real arrival happens long before, in habits, in mindset, and environment. Money is simply the visible confirmation of an invisible transformation that has already taken place. The person becomes wealthy on the outside has already been wealthy in thinking, discipline, and character for some time. The truth is, these signs show up long before the money does. They appear in the way you make decisions, in the quality of your relationships, and the strength of your habits. They are the early warnings, except in this case, the warning is good news. If you honor them, if you protect them, if you feed them with consistency, the money will have no choice but to catch up to the person you've become. It's like building a magnet. You don't have to chase the metal once the magnet is strong enough. It comes to you. The wealthy don't run after opportunities. They position themselves so that opportunities run after them. That positioning begins with recognizing these subtle shifts as the proof that your inner work is paying off. I've seen it in young entrepreneurs who were broke on Monday and millionaires by Friday, not because they stumbled on a magic product or some secret loophole, but because they had already been living with the habits and mindset of wealth long before the money showed up. The money was simply the last piece to arrive. They had already learned how to think in terms of value creation, how to guard their focus, how to push through setbacks, and how to keep playing the long game. When the right opportunity finally came, they were ready, not scrambling to get ready. That's the difference. Most people wait for the opportunity to prepare, but the wealthy prepare, so that when the opportunity comes, they can act immediately. You see, wealth isn't luck, it's alignment. It's the state that exists when your values, your daily actions, your surroundings, and your focus all point in the same direction. Alignment is what allows your efforts to multiply instead of canceling each other out. When you're aligned, you're no longer taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You're moving steadily toward your destination. The signs we've been talking about are simply indicators that your alignment is nearing completion. It's like tuning a musical instrument. When all the strings are in harmony, the music flows effortlessly. But if even one string is out of tune, the sound is off. The same is true for wealth. When your thinking, your discipline, your environment, and your habits are in harmony, opportunities stop feeling forced, start feeling natural. That's when you know you're not chasing wealth anymore. You're positioned to receive it. But here's the sobering part. These signs can fade. Progress is not permanent without vigilance. You can lose focus in a moment of distraction, slip back into old habits when life gets comfortable, or slowly start blaming again when things get hard. It's easier than you think to drift off course. That's why awareness is so important. The moment you recognize a sign in your life, whether it's valuing time over money, staying focused, despite being misunderstood, or protecting your energy with no, you must guard it like treasure. These shifts are fragile in the beginning, like seedlings just breaking through the soil. If you neglect them, they wither. But if you water them daily with discipline, they grow into unshakable strengths. Wealth is built not only by achieving these signs, but by keeping them alive long enough to bear fruit. Because here's what happens. The closer you are to wealth, the more temptation you'll face. These temptations don't always look like obvious dangers. Sometimes they look like good enough opportunities, distractions disguised as progress, or the subtle urge to take a shortcut. You'll be tempted to settle for less than you're capable of, to cash or out early, or to relax your standards once you've made enough. But these are the thieves at the gates of your fortune. They're not here to stop you. They're here to see if you'll stop yourself. The wealthy recognize these moments and resist the bait. They keep their eyes on the bigger vision, refusing to be pulled off course by what looks easy or convenient. When you feel tired but still push through, sign. When you lose friends because your focus no longer matches theirs, sign. When you pass up short-term pleasures in order to build long-term assets, sign. These are not losses, my friends. They are signals that you are on the right path. Every sacrifice you make for a greater future is a down payment on that future. The truth is, these moments feel uncomfortable when you're in them, but they are the very proof that you're becoming the kind of person who can hold, grow, multiply wealth. The world often mistakes these sacrifices for suffering, but they are really the building blocks of a life that others will one day admire and perhaps envy. And if you've been noticing these signs lately, I'll tell you this: don't stop now. You're not at the beginning anymore, you're standing at the edge. This is the most dangerous and most powerful part of the journey. Dangerous because it's the point where most people fold, thinking the difficulty means they've gone as far as they can. Powerful because if you can push through this final stretch, you'll step into the life you've been working toward for so long. You've already paid the price in discipline and focus and patience. Don't waste it by quitting now. Everything you've endured has been leading you here. The great tragedy is that most people think they're failing when they're actually being tested, or they mistake resistance for rejection. They interpret delays as denials. But you're not being rejected, you're being refined. Just as fire purifies gold, challenges purify your readiness for wealth. The process strips away the impatience, the bad habits, and the weak. Thinking that could cause you to lose everything once you have it. The wealthy understand that every trial is either a teacher or a filter. It will either teach you something you need to know or remove you from a path you are not yet ready to walk. So if you've recognized even 3 or 4 of these signs in your life right now, take it as undeniable proof you're on the path. The presence of these signs means the seeds of wealth are already in your soil. Your job now is to keep watering them, keep protecting them, and refuse to let the weeds of distraction or doubt choke them out. Don't second-guess yourself because you haven't seen the full harvest yet. The tree doesn't appear overnight, but the roots are already spreading deep beneath the surface. Trust that process. Wealth is not an event. It's a state of becoming. And if you're seeing these 9 signs, you are in that becoming. You are shaping into the kind of person who can hold, grow, and multiply wealth, not just once, but for the rest of your life. The danger now is not failure, it's stopping too soon. Don't stop. Don't slow down. Finish the journey you've started. The world doesn't need another person who almost made it. It needs you, fully there, fully prepared, and fully capable of stewarding the success that's coming your way.